Thanks, guys. I just have two short works to read. The first one is a poem, which is one of my only poems I'm kind of happy with, so, you know, it's a hell of a hard art, you guys. This one is inspired by Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky poem. It's famously as a nonsense poem. This one's not nonsense. I just researched a bunch of like old English words that kind of sound like nonsense. And I used a bunch of the portmanteaus that Lewis Carroll invented and came up with a couple of my own. So it's to the Reverend Charles Lutwidge Dodgson, which is Lewis Carroll's real name. When the richness flidges off the fields of Longsure Harden, corpses of the kingly drought rot, slaughtered by the Slarden. The king, alas, stand-fished of heroes, Frigling and Glander's dreamt. The brothers Buskin head the boonwork, and to the Tolgi wood were sent. The Slarden, it was strong as doubt, striated mouth crinigerous, Prigga of galumphing beasts, wins the husk race by long chalks. The Buskin tracked its abditory, and dug a Geswelch from the earth. Wise hardihood in place of swords brought Slarden's head to their hearth. Head Buskin cut his leg as bait, gave a supersheric saccharine. The Slarden whiffled in the trap, Head Buskin slew it with a probing. When the richness fledges off the fields of Longsure Harden, new calves from the kingly draught graze, safe now from the Slarden. The end. This next one's also inspired. This comes from an old Steve Martin bit. He had a bit about how some people do drugs to get high. He did drugs to get small. So I just kind of rolled with that. So it's titled Small. He stood staring out the peephole and waiting for the girl who said she'd come. She was 3 days late and he didn't have a television, so he mostly stood staring out the peephole and counting the seconds. It didn't bother him that the power had been shut off for 5 days or that the rent was a full week overdue. He had $12,000 in a backpack and he was waiting for the girl who said she'd come. She would bring 1,000 grams of small and they might fuck and she would leave. He was thirsty and wanted to run to the vending machine down the hall, but if she was on fast, she might come and go before he got back. So he stood staring out the peephole and waiting for the girl who said she'd come. He started getting small when he was 19 because it made him feel like a little kid again. Before the cliques and SATs and divorce and death slurped away his last chance at childhood. Before puberty turned him into a small giant with enough personal volume for 3 average humans. Before he became a 2-time college dropout with no future prospects but a successful drug enterprise. He met the girl 2 weeks ago at a new college party where nerds break bad in their dorm rooms and craft fantastic drugs like small. The girl liked to party on slow and nuke some fast when the slow wore off, and he fucked her with his small dick and she said she would come in 2 weeks. So he stood staring out the peephole and waiting for the girl who said she'd come. When he was small, he imagined himself with Lilliputian dimensions and a Munchkin's helium-soaked voice. He bought an oversized chair to sit in and bought humongous lollipops. He bought a jumbo big wheel and bought an enormous race car bed. He got strange looks at toy stores and worried looks everywhere else. He bought an annual pass to Disney World and spent many days riding the rides and playing the games. He also sold small to other like-minded individuals and slung grams of lace weed to the parents. He pissed in an empty bottle and stood staring out the peephole. When he first started getting small, he took it too far too fast and overdosed. He reverted back more and more until he had to wear diapers and forgot how to walk. He went fully infantile for over a week. By the time he came to, he'd learned rudimentary Spanish from Dora the Explorer. But now he had his shit together. He started dealing small so he wouldn't get high on his own supply. He didn't think much about it though, because he didn't think much about anything anymore. He mostly stood staring out the peephole unless he was too small to reach it. The end. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Really appreciate the time. That's all I got.
Everyone give up again for Michael. Yeah, so you can read other people's stuff if you like. I always just say credit the original